Baldy, BT, and Sal, what's going on, buddy?
Well, good morning, guys. Live from Vegas here. I mean, it's the center of the universe right now, so you can throw a tennis ball in any direction right now and hit something good and fun happening right now in this
or dangerous and illegal, depending upon how hard you throw the ball.
Yeah,
I understand what you mean.
That's all out there. Yes.
Although most is legal at this point. I understand it. You got to build it up. The week off, to me, it's a buzzkill in a sense where you kind of the storylines for the conference championship games, they dissipate a little bit. The energy just naturally drops a little bit. Then, don't get me wrong, we all ratchet it back up, and we were all lathered up on Super Bowl Sunday. But what is the key from a player perspective, just staying ready and not getting stale this week?
I don't. I had a brother that played for Buffalo when they got beat by the Giants in Super Bowl 25. That was a 1 week in between. You win the conference championship game on a Sunday. You're in Tampa, Florida for Super Bowl 25 on Monday. That was a lot of fun. To your point, I mean, the momentum just rolls. But I think, last week was really important. I think both teams rested a little bit, but then they got back to work. And I think they really started locking in on what the game plan was going to be like. And then, you come to Vegas on Sunday and you do all of the rituals last night of, showing up at the stadium and answering all the questions. And then it's just kind of like, let's get back into the cave and because they've got 6 months here to go have some fun. Let's lock in for the next 5 days here and just get ready for Sunday. If you got a mature team, well-coached team, guys that, understand what the moment is, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Baldy, do you think, BT and I were talking about this both on and off the air, and I feel like it's a weird season with the NFL where there's a separation. Like after Championship Sunday, it feels like the season is kind of over, and then it picks back up, obviously, for the biggest game that means everything, winning the Super Bowl. For me, I feel like getting to the Super Bowl is almost the greater accomplishment, going through the grind, the home and away field where the Super Bowl is being played at a neutral site. What do you think is the great? I know this sounds nuts because I know we value coaches and players and franchises, but what do you think is the greater accomplishment, getting to the Super Bowl or just winning the individual game that takes 2 weeks after the Championship Sunday?
Well, Kansas City just went through a gauntlet, playing Miami, going on the road against Buffalo and Baltimore and winning. But it'd be an awfully empty feeling if they get to Las Vegas here and lose. They had that feeling 4 years ago when they lost to Tampa. They don't want that feeling, and nobody does. Nobody wants to your point, get to the championship game, win, have that euphoric feeling, and then get here and lay an egg. Nobody wants to do that. So I still feel like, okay, let's, because nobody remembers number 2. They only remember number 1. So let's come here and finish the business, get the hardware, put it in the bank, and then, start thinking about next year, a little bit down the road. But you got to finish what you started. This is the goal here right now.
It's funny with talking to Brian Baldinger. You just talk about not worrying about next year and not going too far away from the immediacy of what's in front of you. But last night, Patrick Mahomes did that. He took us on a very transparent, very honest ride about how, you know what, I want to play, if he can, 15 more years, get into my mid-40s, basically saying, I'm going to chase down the GOAT. He didn't say it in a braggadocious way, but usually guys kind of flinch from that kind of all-time spotlight. I love that he showed us what he wants.
I think he knows what kind of talent he has. I think he understands the organization is always going to try and build a team that's capable of winning a championship. Not everybody gets to be in that type of situation. I think he understands everything from the coach to the management to how they operate. This is a good place to actually, store some hardware. And I think he knows that. I think he's very happy staying there. I think, he's got young kids. I think he's very content in staying in Kansas City for a long time. And he's got everything it takes around him to kind of start that path of winning Super Bowls. So I think he recognizes just what the organization has been like for him. And he wants to give him everything he's got right now.
Baldy, who do you think's the better team here? I mean, the Niners have been a better team all year long consistently. I know they've had the postseason ups and downs, but obviously have made it to this point. Chiefs didn't look great in the regular season or vintage, Kansas City. Their defense has been better. They could run the football better, but they showed some toughness winning on the road in the postseason, going through, as you just said, the gauntlet in the AFC. But the Niners have been the better team all year long. Who do you think right now, going into Sunday's matchup, is the better team?
Well, I remember talking to Andy Reid like halfway through the season, and I've known Andy since he came to Philadelphia in 1999. And I told him, I said, Big Red, for the first time, I'm talking more about your defense than your offense. And I think if you look at the two defenses and the two offenses in this game, the best squad is Kansas City's defense. And I feel like they're the best team because that defense has been great just about every week all season long. And the way that Spags, I think he's the best big game defensive coordinator in this league and has been for a long time. I don't understand the fact that nobody calls him for a head coaching job. Spags is a magician, and he's got great talent to work with. And so I think Kansas City is the best team because defensively, I think they're the best unit in this game on Sunday.
We're talking to Brian Baldinger, of course, with us here. BT and Sound on the Fan. Insider Calls brought to you by Old Spice. Gentlemen's Blend Body Wash, providing exfoliation plus 24/7 moisturization because men have skin too. All right, so we're obviously still a couple of days away here, and me and Sal get more into the nuts and bolts as we get deeper into the week here, and we have a few more things for you. But can you at least get a sense early this week where – because I always find this interesting, having been to, 10 or 11 of these, Radio Row Super Bowl trips here and the Final Four, which fan base is represented stronger? Kansas City always travels well. The Niner Nation strong, plus geographically, they've got the advantage. What are you seeing more, Niner or Chief fans?
It's early, but
yeah.
I feel like the Niners, it's closer. It's not a long flight. They travel very well. And it goes outside the borders of the United States, too, now. I mean, the 49er Nation they played a game in Mexico City a couple years ago. It was crazy.
Yep.
So I feel like the 49ers, I think they're hungrier, and not to knock the Chiefs. Chiefs have been fantastic. They're a home crowd. But I feel like 49ers are going to take over the city here.
Wow. That surprises me.
Why?
I
mean,
it's the Chiefs, man. It's Mahomes.
Well, look, he's got his fan base, there's no doubt. And there's going to be number 15 jerseys everywhere you go. But this 40, I've just been inside SoFi Stadium when they come down and play the Rams.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a home game. And it's been like that now for a couple of years. And, these fan bases now, it's a big deal. It's a bragging right. Who could take over these stadiums? San Francisco's been doing it. I think they're going to do it. There's a natural rivalry, 49ers and the Raiders to begin with. They're going to come into the Raiders Stadium here at Allegiant Stadium. Ooh. They're going to show the Raiders, show Kansas City, just, what the best fan base is.
Okay.
I think they're on a mission.
Okay, gotcha.
Baldy, how big of a deal is this stuff with the field turf and whether the Niners practicing on a soft field, getting ready for the actual game? How big of an issue is the playing surface here?
Practice surface, I'm surprised because the league overlooks all of this. And they're not going to give one team a field that's in lesser condition to go out there and practice for a week than another team. So to hear that, I'm a little surprised. It was a big factor in the game last year. Guys were slipping all game long. I don't know what it's going to – Allegiant Field's been great. I don't think it's going to be a problem. But the practice field could be a problem for sure. I mean, if you don't feel like you can go full speed because the footing isn't right or whatever the issue is, the grass is too long, I don't know. But, I think that's it could be a little bit of an advantage when you start to prepare for a game like this.
Baldy, what are you hearing on the ground there about, Belichick and what went down with the Falcons? I know our buddy and colleague Boomer had something about where, apparently he was offered the job and he didn't want it. Are you surprised, or how surprised are you Belichick is not coaching next season? And, let's fast forward, maybe if things don't go well for the Giants this year, maybe a little reunion with the G-Men and Bill.
Well, I'm surprised he's not coaching. Very surprised. What happened in Atlanta, sometimes, Bill's been around long enough. If the organization isn't aligned right, and not that he wants total control, I don't think that was the case. But there's a lot of other people, in Atlanta that are making decisions along with Arthur Blank that might have influenced Bill one way or the other. Whether he got offered a contract like Boomer suggested or not, I don't know. But I feel like he's been in a situation in New England where he really answered to one guy in Robert Kraft, and everything else was sort of in his control. And I think he wants something similar to that, and I don't think that was available in Atlanta.
All right, Baldy. We're talking about Brian Baldinger, BT and Sal on the Fan. Giants have hired a new defensive coordinator, Shane Bowen. What can you tell us about him coming over from the Titans?
Well, they've been a defense that was number one defense in football not long ago, like two or 3 years ago. They were a front four dominant defense. Jeffrey Simmons, Harold Landry, Danico Autry. They had drafted well. Kevin Byard was an all-pro safety a couple of years for him. I think the blueprint is we're going to be a front four team. We're going to dominate with our front four. Giants certainly has some of those pieces right there. The middle linebacker in Okereke I think, had a great season. So I think he's got pieces. He's got two young corners to work with right here. I think they're going to challenge quarterbacks with certain pressures, but it's going to be largely from your front four. It's going to get your pressure, and then you're going to challenge with sticky coverage on the outside and safeties that want to blow you up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lay the wood. All right, I got three quick hitters here on the Giants, and we'll get a jet or two item as well. Don't really think much. You don't need to expand on the answer. Just give me a quick yes or no. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Giants draft the quarterback in round one, yes or no?
Yes.
Is Saquon back next season, yes or no?
I don't think so.
I agree. Will Kayvon Thibodeau eventually become a no-doubt star?
If he lives in a weight room and gets stronger and everything, I mean, weight, core, power, he needs to get stronger. He's young, but if he commits to a strength program, I think he can, because his foot quickness and suddenness is good.
Yeah.
His instincts for the game is good. He's got to get stronger.
Boy, that second answer, I fear that you're right. I've said this for a while. We know what Saquon means to this town, to this team. But based on where they are as a team and the finances, his age, not that he's old, but he's not young. You could find somebody middle rounds. I think that you're right. I think Saquon's going to be on a different team. That's going to crush the Giant fan, Baldy.
Look, I'm not. I know what Saquon means to the Giants and to the fan base. I understand it, but I'm not. Look, Christian McCaffrey, I think, is the highest paid running back in the league, and he's worth every penny of it. I just don't think that you're going to get that type of consistency that McCaffrey has just shown us. Or maybe, Dibble can create an offense like that, but I think they're two different players in McCaffrey and Saquon. But, do you want Saquon on your team? Do you want, to lean on him? Yeah. But in this day and age of economics and how you build teams and what wins games for you, Isaiah Pacheco's going back-to-back Super Bowls as a starting running back right now. 7th-round pick out of Rutgers. I don't know. You can find these guys.
Baldy, how about the rest of the NFC East here, specifically the Washington Commanders hiring Dan Quinn to be their head coach, hiring Cliff Kingsbury to be their offensive coordinator, setting everything in line potentially for Caleb Williams to force his way to Washington. What do you think is going to play out in Washington, and how does that impact the New York Giants in the NFC East?
Well, it impacts him. Look, no knock on Sam Howell. He had a good season, but, it was a dreadful team. And if Caleb somehow joins Cliff in Washington, I'd say look out. Because I believe in Caleb Williams. I've known the kid since he was 16. All the momentum is going that direction. There's a lot that has to take place to go from 2-1 probably with Chicago, but it can be done. It certainly can be done. And Cliff, I know, is a good coach and can coach quarterbacks, going back to Johnny Manziel. So I think it is going to be a new day in Washington, where suddenly they're going to join the NFC East, where they really haven't been a participant the last 5 or 6 years.
That is true. They have been on the outside watching. And thankfully for the Giants, they've been in there. Otherwise, the Giants wouldn't have as many wins.
Yeah, really. The one team the Giants could beat now all of a sudden might be better than them.
Oh, my God.
Didn't they have the tie 2 years ago?
They did.
Yeah, right.
They did. They had that tie. That's funny. They had 6 turnovers on one of the games this year. They smacked them around. All right, Baldy, let's wrap it up. Those Giant things were really interesting. I'm going to get some calls on that after. And the Jets are what they are because, Salva's back for some reason, and Joe Douglas is back, and obviously they need Rodgers to be healthy. Otherwise, they have no hope here. Listen, obviously Zach Wilson's going to get dealt. Is there even a modicum of interest around the league, or should I say intrigue, that he can possibly become something – special seems like a reach, but salvageable? What does the league think of him?
I think the league has seen enough of Zach Wilson. I mean, we've seen enough. I mean, I understand broken offensive line and, just no stability. I get all that. I think we've seen enough of Zach as a wannabe starter in this league. I don't think there's going to be that much interest. I mean, somebody's always going to pick up a quarterback that was drafted that high. Mitch Trubisky was drafted that high.
Yep.
Like he's still, out there in Pittsburgh, still showing that he's not a frontline starter. I think we've seen enough at some point. And I think that's how the league views Zach Wilson at this point.
You think he's humble enough to get fixed? I mean, we know he's got a big arm, and we know he's a pretty good athlete here, but half of it is the Jets ruined him. The other half is he probably wasn't humble enough to take some ownership of his mistakes. Is he wired? Forget about the throws. Mentally, does he have any resolve to even attempt to bounce back from this?
Well, I mean, look, if he wants to have a 10-year career, you figure that stuff out. You get yourself a coach. You work on certain things. You might even get a psychiatrist and work about, and just work on being able to flush out the noise and concentrate on just the task at hand. But I think it just comes down to, honestly, I know how much Patrick Mahomes loves the game. I know how committed he is to the game. It always starts there. I mean, it could be something as simple as just living in the film room and watching every single mistake I made and making sure those mistakes don't happen again.
Yep.
And you can't play the game at a frenetic pace the way that he plays the game. You just can't. You can't survive. You're not going to make plays. You're not going to make Garrett Wilson a better player. So he's got to I don't know how many Red Bulls he drinks before a game, but I'd cut it in half at least. You got to have some calmness about you. I'm joking, guys, but you got to have some calmness about you to play the sport.
I understand. Baldy, good stuff, man. Have a good time in Vegas. Don't lose the shirt at the craps table. If you play golf, hit them straight. Have a good time, man. Thank you very much.
All right. I got it, guys.
Baldy, you even allowed to play at the craps table?
Why not?
No, we got
Why?
we got the letter.
What?
We got the letter. Don't be seen. Don't be seen.
All right, so
casino.
card
I don't know how to
game
get to
in
the
Baldy's
steakhouse.
room. Yeah.
I'm not sure how I get to the steakhouse without going to the casino. But that's
I mean, that's a problem. You don't need to play any tables here, but you do got to get to the steakhouse. I mean,
wire me money. I'll play for you.
Come on.
Me and Sal play for you. We'll come out. Just give us the money. We'll play for you.
Oh, yeah, right.
Wire us the money. We'll
I
win
got
for
to
you.
see. It's just I got to know if you know basic strategy blackjack or not. I don't want you hitting on that 16.
Nah, dude, I know how to
third base right there. I'm going to blow. I'm going to come wring your neck.
I know how to play. I know how to play. I do know. Doesn't guarantee anything I've learned, but I definitely know how to play the game.
I'm mad at this one. I don't want my neck wrung for anything. I don't know strategy. I'll hand that over to BT. I'll have the steak with you, Baldy. I ain't touching the cards.
Have a good time, man. Thanks, Brian.
All right, guys.
There you go. All right. Odyssey NFL Insider Brian Baldinger. Insider Calls brought to you by Old Spice. Men have skin, too. We got a lot to react there from the Giants' perspective. Baldy said he does believe that the Giants will take a quarterback in round one, and he also believes that Saquon will not be on the team.